the dust, the land of the sand one's a prize on your hand. Hold tight, don't lose your way, chasing for the glory to the end. Don't run, be the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground off the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Stand up, don't draw in the dust. The land of the sand knows the answer in your head. Hold tight, it's worth the try, chasing for the glory in the fight. Don't run, you're the one, bring all your dreams to the glorious kingdom. Are you hearing the voice of Seth call your name? Lost in the storm, hold your face and sword. Go fight a secret, I win this war. We rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. We rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. We rise up, climb on, choose the highest ground off the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause we are the kings, we are the queens. We will rise up to the top. Even when you fall, sticks and stones may break your bones, but you are stronger than the heaviest waves. The earthquake won't shake you, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen, you are the truth of the land. You rise up higher, reach for the sky, hold on to your weapons with pride. You rise up higher, conquer the ark, get ready to fight for your life. You rise up, climb to the highest ground off the pyramid of life. Let the spirit get you high, 'cause you are the king, you are the queen. You will rise up to the top.
A grandiose battle is coming. We've all been waiting for this battle to happen. But mostly, the god of the dead, Osiris. The 32 division champions of each realm have progressed to the playoffs, but only one will be crowned champion. The Grand Trophy is awarded to the strongest in the Hall of Fame. But who is worthy now? Are you strong enough to become a champion? Prove it. Overwhelm your enemies. Show off your skills. And be everyone's bet. Let the fight begin.
Welcome back, all you wonderful Rise of Kingdoms players. Second match of the day. The first one did not disappoint. As you can see, Song defeating TR. We also had two other matches at the 13 UTC hour. We had 1V versus C9N, looking like 1V taking the crown on that match. And then thirdly, we have JST versus 1008. JST also with the victory, pulling it out against 1008. So we've got three of our final four teams for the final four of this series for the Realm of Horus. We have UCS versus K374 happening right here, right now in the next 4 minutes. You're going to be having myself hosting. My name is Dragothian, in case you haven't met me. I also have Chiskool joining me after his ARC match here, coming up shortly here in about 4 minutes as well. So nice to meet you all if you're the first time you've been here. If so, make sure you hit that like button, hit the bell notification for all those juicy contents coming from the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. Also in the description below, my channel as well as Chiskool's channel, both available for you. Getting daily Rise of Kingdoms guides, tips, contents, etc. War, which is what this game is all about. Fighting and Ark of Osiris is a great way to tune up your team against your opponents. Now, let's take a quick peek at the actual schedule for the Realm of Horus. One match is already set. On the right side, we have Song versus JST. That is going to be an absolutely crazy matchup. If I could be a fly on the wall, the strategy building on that matchup. And then 1V having beaten C9N, waiting for the victor of the match you are about to see in the next 3 minutes, seeing who they're going to play against to hopefully figure out who will be playing in the finals to become the Realm of Horus champion. Now, we do have more than one realm, people. We've also got the Realm of Anubis, looking like 463F taking out HOM after the hashtag. V636 and K530 also playing at the 15 UTC hour in the Realm of Anubis. That winner going up against 463F in the semifinals. On the right side, neither team having played yet. 15 UTC, both matchups there. PX34, who used to be called HKL. And if you remember, at the beginning of this stream, we saw an alliance called HKL win the Osiris League playoffs. So this is something to pay attention to. K556 playing them today at 15 UTC. And then TZA versus 6P exclamation point. Both vying to get into these semifinals. Realm of Bastet, we had some big wins here already. Well, one big win. 60 GT taking out K916 handily. Almost 2-1. 60 GT aggressing to the finals. Or the semifinals. Lost going up against Rays later today, BIA DNT, and TOC versus Wib, all happening here in the next couple minutes. And then finally, Realm of Sobek. 01 HK defeating 82-M to make it to the semifinals. RC69 and CD70 both playing at the 15 UTC hour. 94 VN taking down 52 SK. Very strong team there for both sides. And then MR upsetting RD2K to move on to the semifinals as well. So it will be 94 VN versus MR in the semifinals. Realm of Horus, though, is where we're at right now. K374 versus UCS, the only two teams that haven't played yet. UCS obviously being a very strong team at 5.167 billion power. K374 only, quote-unquote, 3.9 billion power, but look at this. Last week, they took out JWM, who was a stronger team power-wise than UCS. Now, was UCS a better team? Is UCS a better team than JWM? I think so, but we're also going to find out because both of these teams clashing in just a moment. Let's go ahead and jump to the watch screen and see if they have popped up just yet. Not quite. And yet, here we go. It is live. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the battlefield. Soon we'll be joined by Chiskool here as well. I'll go ahead and announce what's happening with the intro. And let's go ahead and jump rolling right in. So here we go. We have, again, K374 in blue versus UCS in red. K374 porting in. Vanguard combatants, very strong team here, guys. Again, taking out JWM last week. No easy feat at all. JWM, one of the strongest teams in the game. UCS in red, however, looking at very strong as well. Some very familiar names. Folks that have been in Kingdom 2 for quite some time. Kingdom 2 being one of the oldest kingdoms in the game. Among only 8 having started the very first day of Rise of Kingdoms. Now we've got key combatants for the blue team. Cheese, 77. GBS and a cat picture. We've also got for the red team UCS, Ares DK, Ares LH, Ikun, and somebody with a kill score of 174, 359. This is the temple. This is the trophy. Both teams won it. Like we said, road to the championship. 374 taking out JWM by 3,000 points. I do have myself one Shiskel joining me momentarily. I've got the battlefield up and running. Shiskel, we've got 2 quality teams here. What are you thinking is going to be taking place at the very beginning? Are we going to see some trickery? Or are we going to be seeing some reserved play for what could be a very contentious middle fight?
Great to be here. I think we're going to see reserved play for mid fights. That's my prediction here. And what has been so unusual about UCS's performance up to this point is they've had pretty commanding victories in almost every matchup they've had. So that begs the question, were those easier matchups, or is UCS just a monster team that sets the tone, sets the pace, and then delivers huge victories every time? That is what we're going to find out watching this matchup today.
Yeah, I totally agree. UCS really stepping up their game from previous seasons. I think that they've incorporated some new players that really understand the methodology behind winning Ark of Osiris. More and more team members for the blue team porting in here with just 8 seconds left to go. I think both teams are a little short from their proper Vanguard. I think UCS even needs 1 or 2 reinforcements to pop in here. There's one.
Well, that's unusual. Both teams down a player.
Yeah, interesting.
That is not the secret tactic I was
29
expecting.
combatants for each side. My goodness. This is the quarterfinals, people.
Quite unusual. I don't know. Hopefully both sides get their full team up and running. Maybe they're trying to get a last-minute substitution. You know, sometimes that happens, right? And you have to wait until this moment before you can enter the battlefield. It does look like both teams on my screen are still showing 29 a pop, though. Well, at least it's an even fight as the marches pour in and head toward the structures.
Looks like the blue team finally got their 30th march there, just as you were saying, 29 apiece. There is UCS getting their 30th as well. Hard push being used by K374. Let's see if maybe the skill display glitches again, and we might need to just check the obelisk or the outpost to see if the hard push has also been used by UCS. Let's go ahead and give that a shot really quick. So I'm staring at Fat Tiger here. Going ahead and taking this first outpost for UCS. And it looks like 2-minute capture time on this outpost. So hard push is used for UCS as well.
I mean, it seems to be the meta. We went from a world in which everybody was popping. What was the ability called?
Divine Aid.
Divine Aid for the extra teleports, right? And it's a new world now where hard push is used. So, I mean, I would actually be willing to bet Oryx, if that's a thing I could do. I would bet Oryx that hard push will get changed around in this coming season, since everybody's using it without failure. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was
like it's not optional, right?
Yeah, that was the reason that they changed Divine Aid in the first place, was because it was a guarantee that if you did not use it, you're going to be at a deficit to some degree. Now, obviously, some people were able to overcome that and use those extra points elsewhere. But, yeah, I agree. I mean, the difference I think that they wanted to try and do, there's another skill that's very similar to Hard Push called Relentless Siege. And instead of giving a movement speed bonus to the rally, what it does is it provides extra counterattack damage for the rally itself. So harder to swarm down is the rally, but again, you don't get the movement speed. And right now at the beginning of the game, movement speed is the name of the game. It's kind of like not Ark of Osiris anymore. It's be really, really fast to get to the stuff you need to get to, and then it becomes Ark of Osiris. And
Yeah,
in
I
this
think
case,
Ark of
Osiris
Osiris
League.
is a catchier name, right?
Yes, it is. Not to be really fast to your structure game. That's not it?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, good,
Ark of
good on the
Osiris.
marketing team of Lilith to
Yeah,
go ahead and properly do that.
this is why Dragothian and I are not
Yeah,
in marketing.
we are the
okay?
content creators. We do not do the marketing names. Okay, so very, very strong start for both teams here. Outpost and Obelisk being captured from both sides. So just cool. You said we were going to be looking at a little bit of a reserved beginning game at least. What do you know about some of the middle team plays from UCS and from K374?
You know, I'm actually gonna observe something different here. If you look at the Desert Altar just south of the Temple Dragothian, we see 374 making a push on the altar.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be supported too. So in 100 seconds, I think that they're gonna pull the same move that TR did earlier today and try to get the first occupation of the Desert Altar on the opposing side. And if I look to see if UCS is mirroring the same play, they are.
Ooh, Obelisk under attack, by the way. Proper rally from Ende.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, proper
They're
rally.
actually going for it. And a proper garrison, Zenobia at the helm
good
there.
thing. Good thing.
Whew.
Yeah, that rally's probably not going to make it. And then they're teleporting in on top of that. That's the farthest away Obelisk for K374 to get to. So if you're going to try a sneaky play like what Ende just tried, not the worst one to do it on. Now, I mean, they're not reinforcing, at least not right now anyway. And this rally is holding up pretty well to this swarm, the anti-swarm of Zenobia and also of these two swarming marches here from K374. It looks like it will eventually go down, though. Let's take a peek at the Desert Altar as we see UCS really coming in. I will say a good job from UCS really manning their Shrine of Life area, or at least it was for a second. They've moved since up to the Sky Altar and pushing heavy and hard up to the Sky Altar on the bottom lane. This is very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this could be an altar meta. Like pushing the altars.
Take all the
right?
altars. We want them all.
Well, I mean, I say that, but then, you know, okay, so TR did that last match that we cast here, but they didn't win. Although that part of their strategy did work really, really well.
It did.
So, I mean, that seems like if these folks were watching, they picked that up too. Both UCS and 374, who now UCS gets their Desert Altar. Wow. Oh, but hey, wait a minute. Look to the left side of the map. Sky Altar all the way on the left. UCS has got it.
That
That
Belisarius
should be
garrison
374s.
is looking strong.
Sure goes, yeah. Getting swarmed by
Hey,
two
we saw it
Zenobia is
earlier.
all that. Yeah. Fair
Fair
enough.
13 UTC matchup. That looked very strong. The double C getting switched to and finally going back down into K374's hands, at least for right now. Who knows? There's about 4 or 5 more marches here. It looks like UCS is going to give up on that one, though, with Zenobia finally being garrisoned and plenty of K374 to reinforce. However,
UCS.
on the top lane, yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, UCS has really won the break on this one. No question.
Yeah,
They've
it's putting,
got the dominant structure position.
it's putting K374 on the back foot, don't you think?
100%. 100%. I mean, UCS tagged the Shrine of Life, tagged the Sky Altar, and now they are holding the Desert Altar. I mean, UCS has all 3 of the outposts on the opposing side. I don't know
very
what's
red.
going on here, but that is some serious structure aggression.
Yeah, this map looking very red in favor of UCS. 1 minute until this Desert Altar, 1 minute and 14 seconds, I should say, on the top lane, although that Saladin garrison looks to be a little bit under duress. Now it goes back in favor of K374. Again, we talked about it last match. Very difficult with this many marches around the structure to just simply garrison something or swap a march or, you know, who knows. And we've got a double C defending right now. I guarantee you K374 just does not want that to be the case with this many marches having available. I mean, you got a Richard sitting right there. You got an Attila. Heck, I'd even put a Trajan in there versus double C primary. There's Artemisia, and it goes down again in favor of UCS because of that same problem.
Yep. 5 minutes till arc spawn. I
Yeah.
mean, I have to say I'm very intrigued by this outpost capture strategy by UCS, which seems to not only have worked, but worked relatively
Pretty well.
flawlessly. I mean,
Yeah, that's 90
they're
points a
holding
minute.
these structures.
When you have all three, that's 90 points a minute. That basically turns the 3 outposts into the second most advantageous structure set to have in the map. You have 150 for the altar, but only 80 for a shrine. So if you have all 3 outposts, you actually are generating 10 more points per minute than if you would have captured a Shrine of Life or a Shrine of War.
I mean, UCS has managed to pull a half an arc worth of points of a lead right at the start of the match. That ain't bad.
Well, they've definitely this will probably even up a little bit closer because things just haven't gotten the first occupation. So the Desert Altar top lane eventually will give, hopefully, for 374 their first occupation. But UCS not giving up, by the way. They've got Guans, and they've got XYs, they've got Trajans, they've got a Takeda primary, which probably isn't doing much. But there's a Guan and another Trajan there. They're trying to get this altar back again to delay even further. K374 choosing instead of getting more defense capabilities there, thinking they have enough there to go ahead and hold off the barrage from UCS, going to the middle very early, and we've got UCS doing the same thing. Belisarius William trying to do some damage in the back line against that Nebu.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to lose their march,
Yeah,
so that they can
exactly.
refresh with a
They're
full
like,
march.
please help me.
Yeah,
That's why he's running away and he's not actually attacking.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
he's just
don't
taking
want to kill you.
counterattack damage. This is why I don't particularly like Delane's Amulet, actually,
Yeah.
for Arc of Osiris, because you
Reducing that
actually
counter.
don't want to reduce the counterattack damage you take. This is why. This is
Yeah.
exactly why.
For something like this, yeah. That's
this.
some
Yeah.
insight for sure.
It's next level gameplay, baby.
That's it. That's why you come here. That's why people come here to learn and see the best. You got
Now,
K374.
speaking of seeing the best, yeah, I mean, well, they're getting to the temple. 3 minutes at Dragothian. This is the latest entry to the temple I think you and I have cast together all season.
For the beginning, especially the first arc, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Although, look at the Sky Altar right side. Well played by 374. Taking that Sky Altar.
That's it.
CPO on the field, swarming it back. Gosh
There it
bless. There's
is.
always a CPO,
There
isn't
he
there?
is. That UCS Scipio Osman. That's one of the biggest marches you can put into the game. Go ahead and
So
garrison
obviously
that
that's a
structure.
filling march, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Their,
That's the
their goal
only
there
reason.
is- yeah, and see, that's why I don't like filling marches personally.
Yeah.
Because
Can't help take it back.
sure, you got more troops, but they're basically worthless for anything but filling.
Yeah, you really can't take a structure back with Scipio
Scipio
Osman.
Osman.
It's just not
Yeah,
going to do it for you. Yeah.
Pro strats, CPO Osmond structure swarm.
You see
2
both
minutes.
teams. Yeah, both teams positioning. 2 minutes left. I'm not sure who's got more Chisco. I really don't, because UCS is stacked a little
Not
bit
even.
better. Yeah, see,
It's
UCS is
even.
really stacked. K374 a little more spread out, although shading more towards the temple. 2 minutes left on the dot. Ooh, hard push by UCS.
That's probably just a delayed representation
The
for
same
us.
thing happened
Mystical
last time.
formation
My
on both
goodness.
sides. Yeah. No war drums though, which actually that piece of the puzzle I find shocking.
There
There
it
we
is.
go.
Yep.
War drums, no reason to wait. It
Yeah,
lasts for
just
like
do
3
it.
minutes. So just go. Yeah. Some teams try to like wait until everybody's engaged before they use those abilities, and I think that's really a mistake. Because the reality is that 3 minutes is plenty of time. Your marches are either going to be dead or so close to dead that it doesn't matter if you have a couple more seconds of that skill. You really want that extra punch right at the start of the fight.
Both teams reinforcing heavily. It looks like K374 a little more heavily than UCS, but looks like a lot of blue members, team members, are going back with broken armies. But they also look like they might have an upper hand at the temple itself, positioning wise. We'll have to see in a minute, once this arc spawns, who gets the first capture. That may dictate kind of which way this battle starts to shade.
I'm not sure who's going to win this. I thought
This
it was
is
going to
really
be
even.
UCS, and now it looks like it's 374.
But look how many
Even though-
marches. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know 374 keeps losing marches. I'm with you on that. But they keep having more marches arrive.
True.
More than UCS has had, but I don't know.
I
This
think
is
the
hard to say.
positioning too, Chisco. 30 seconds left. Look at the positioning around the temple is K374. Now UCS is having to push up and in. Let's see if K374 can capitalize and start to punish some of these armies that are moving and not attacking.
I think 374, although
They're going
they
heavy.
were not winning at the start, are winning now. And I think that's 100% due to the exceptional refreshing they've done to the middle here. with it's new marches. Refreshing is even the wrong word. Like, they kept bringing new players to the middle, and now that they've got these marches all sad facing, if this fight lasts a long time, then they're going to be able to refresh to the middle. Although, Ark's on the move for UCS, outnumbered but not down.
And
There
they
it is.
did grab it on the
Now it's
wrong
down.
side of the temple.
No
Chisco.
way.
Yeah.
So they didn't actually go anywhere.
Yeah,
They
it's literally just
kept
up
it.
a little bit to the right.
Mm,
Didn't
okay.
go the right direction.
For those of you who have not tried to grab the Ark before, and that would probably be most folks listening here, if you pick up the Ark on the enemy's side of the temple, then you'll have it on that side of the temple, which means you've sort of done them a favor. You have to walk the distance of the temple before you even brought it back to your side. So you always want to pick up the Ark on your own side of the temple. That way you're not having to walk extra distance. And I suppose, I mean, Dracothian, it's better to pick it up than not, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think if you can delay people from taking it any direction, you're going to be in good shape. But at the same time, I think if you pick it up on the other side, you may have not let them get it, but you may have actually been the best player on their team.
Yeah, ended up helping them out, huh?
Yeah, and K374, I mean, doing a fantastic job. I was
that's
as
nice,
you were talking, I was kind of shading towards the reinforcements of UCS, and I was kind of moving my mouse back and forth really quickly, saying half of you come this way, half of you come this way, because that's the command I would give. I would be like, look, half of you go down and kill these reinforcements as they're coming up, so that we can basically just walk this arc back as half the other part of the team escort, with the other half delaying the reinforcements from the south. So I think they're doing a good job there. UCS probably trying to go ahead and go after this desert altar, which is a sound idea as well, Chisco. I mean, I think the closer we get to the desert altar, the more dangerous this arc carrier becomes. Red team still likely not giving up, even though that was a sound beating in the middle by K374, and they're going to need this too. It's a 900-point game in favor of UCS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, UCS's early lead is going to be fully offset by this Arc capture for 374 and more. So 374 really is driving a lot of this situation here. So not only are they now going to have the lead, but they have the pace of the game. They control when this Arc gets captured, which dictates when the next Arc gets spawned, which means also they can control who has how many points for the next mid-fight, right?
That's exactly right. And not only that, just being able to control from a timing perspective, you can make really sound decisions that way, or you can really bone your team up whenever you're talking about holding the arc versus capturing the arc. I think that K374 has really proven that really they're not afraid to go up against the biggest and best alliances in this playoff setup, because again, I mean, they've, even without capturing the arc, I mean, they're starting to make up some ground, although now UCS has taken the building away from
That's exactly what UCS
from K374, as I say that.
It's beautiful play by UCS,
Yeah, that's
taking
what
the
they needed.
outside Sky Altar. So we talked about this last matchup, but if you're going to take a structure, if the enemy team is all in the middle, well, guess what? Outside lane altar is where the most points live, so they took it, and that's also the furthest distance for 374 to have to walk. So that's a beautiful play.
Yeah, they're starting to come in finally, K374 from the middle team, alongside of the folks from the obelisk itself that would have normally been reinforcing the middle if there was still a fight. So eventually they're going to take this back, but they've got enough time here to where they may be able to hold and maybe snag a minute or two of points away from K374, which would be very helpful, considering the arc is still in the blue team's hands and almost beside the obelisk at this point. Ende, speaking of an obelisk, has Osiris Nebu rally, causing some damage against the K374 obelisk. Reinforcements coming in, thankfully for K374, but this is still precarious.
Cyrus Nebu is not a rally combo we're used to
Not
seeing,
the
is
meta.
it?
No, it's not the meta at all. However, it's still strong. Still very strong. Clearly.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at all the AoE damage.
UCS has won a lot of games. I mean, like, is it the meta and we just don't know it? I don't think so, but
I mean, it's getting swarmed
probably
down
something to
pretty
learn
easy.
here.
Yeah, it's getting
Yeah.
swarmed down pretty easily. I think the other thing too is, I think Ende and the likelihood of him having top proc legendary gear is very high. So that kind of gear set, the equipment set, is likely to make any pairing on the field look really, really meta. But speaking of meta, if you want to win the Ark of Osiris and win the Osiris League matchup, having 3 altars on your favor is very strong.
Yeah, that's the real meta. Hold all the buildings.
Yeah, just hold the biggest buildings. Let's do
man.
that. And hold it for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what, 3
Yeah.
minutes at this point in
Lot
favor of
of
UCS.
Points per minute, 440 for blue, 680 for red.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot closer than it looks on the points per minute standpoint.
Yeah. 240 points per minute. If that happens for another 3 minutes or so, you're looking at about 700 points or so. Then we're talking about roughly almost equaling out what that arc's going to provide to K374. K374
Dude.
having to push a huge amount of troops. for this.
Cyrus Nebu Rally takes the desert altar.
Wow.
Is this the secret to UCS's success?
I mean, I've not seen it used very much anywhere, but I mean, it's winning.
It's working, and
Yeah.
it's working very well. 4 altars for UCS.
I almost
So
want to bring
maybe-
up another
I
instance
mean,
just to bring up Cyrus and Nebu's skills, just to go through it with everybody on the channel.
I mean, if it's helpful, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I can walk through some of these abilities here while you're showcasing the gameplay. What I'll say is that UCS looks like they are just as strong as they represented themselves to be
That's very
in the
true.
scoreboards of previous matches. 4 altars. I mean, few teams are able to execute a maneuver like that at this tier of gameplay.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these altars, and they're, I mean, even though 374 is just absolutely swarming the sky altar down here on the bottom lane, and eventually it looks like it may go down just from a not being able to click it standpoint, there it goes back to K374. Now let's see if they can garrison it themselves. UCS bringing over a ton of troops to help with that garrison, not quite arriving in time. It may have been, again, one of those things where you just couldn't put the troops in the building because it was so difficult to select. And just like that, both altars back where they belong on their K374's color. And everything's equal up, however, when we look at the points, Chisco, 300 points per minute right now, and likely for another 2 or 3 minutes in favor of UCS.
Well, let me give you that skill profile on Cyrus the Great, and you interject for me whenever there's something happening in the match that needs highlighting. Active skill on Cyrus, 1400 damage factor, increases the damage taken by the target for 3 seconds. So we could talk about that for just a second being really powerful.
Yep.
Because when you swarm a structure, making that structure take 20% more damage, that's massive.
Now, to be clear, I believe that is additional skill damage, not just damage. So that's where
Increased
it's kind of
additional damage, you're
curious
right.
to add Nebu behind Cyrus instead of the other way around. Usually when you see Cyrus primary, you see a player like commander like Ramses behind because of his additional skill damage. And usually if you're using Cyrus, you're going to use Nebu primary because he gives you not only the trees available, but also he buffs with the clarity talent on the skill damage tree. Cyrus's all skills because of the clarity buff.
It's definitely interesting. I mean, this is actually pretty complex stuff here.
I mean, you
Second
gotta
skill,
read.
15% march speed, 30% attack.
It's all
That's
about the
just-
nitty gritty.
Yeah. The march speed and the attack is good. I mean, the rally gets down the field faster. The attack
Absolutely.
ends the fight faster. When troops led by this commander consist of only archers, normal attacks have a 10% chance to deal additional damage over time. So there's that additional damage, Dragothian.
Mhm.
For 3 seconds, damage factor 250. That's pretty good. That's 750 damage over the course of that. While the damage over time is in effect, the target deals 30% reduced skill damage. Whew.
It's a big deal, especially against, I don't know, Zenobia YSS.
Yeah. Final skill is anti-swarm. When attacked on the map, troops led by this commander have a 10% chance to deal damage over time in a circular area
I think
of effect.
that's the key. That's what they're keying in on, that anti-swarm, because right now, look at on the screen, heavy swarm against this UCS Cyrus Nebu rally, and it is going down, but look at all the marches. It took out 5 or 6 marches just getting swarmed, and then finally arriving at its target, not taking the structure, but I mean, all those marches are ineffectually worthless at this point. They can't push forward with that. They need to go back and exactly, here we go. A-Pink going back to reinforce and refill up with the troops, and that's giving UCS time to heavily push. Look at all these open field marches coming from UCS now towards that Desert Altar with half the team going back to replenish their supplies. Now, speaking of which, on the bottom lane, everything going for UCS, everything going red except for the Obelisk. And maybe even that. Let's take a peek at that. Nope,
I
definitely
mean, UCS is just dominating this structure game.
not. Yeah, they're doing really well.
It's terrifying. You have to win arcs or you have to win buildings, and I think it's pretty clear that UCS is all in on the building game, the structure game, and 374 is all in on that arc game. What is so surprising, though, is that both teams have had plenty of time to stabilize after the arc to get into kind of what you would expect to be kind of like a sustainable pace, a sustainable game state, right?
Yeah.
And that sustainable game state is UCS with more structures.
Oh, wow. This Shrine of Life on the top lane, very close to falling to another Cyrus Nebu rally. Jadwiga is the garrison, although getting that final reinforcement at the last second, very advantageous for K374. Trying to get their Sky Altar on the bottom lane back too, but that YSS is looking strong and doesn't want to give up that structure at all. 5 minutes, 30 seconds, timer on the arc as well. Still being held by K374.
Yeah, they've got 5 minutes 30 to cap this thing, or what happens? It goes back to the middle?
Yeah, yep, goes back to the middle and the timer starts all over again. It's like nothing ever happened for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, so that timer can be reset if UCS were to hold the arc. I believe at that point it does get fully reset. So as long as they don't actually go for this arc, and I doubt that they would, we can assume that 374 is going to cap this thing in just a moment.
I would think so. And, again, the reason to hold the arc, to me, and I'd like your input on this too, Chisco. I mean, to me, there's really two big reasons. One, you want to give yourself and your team time to reset and get where you want them to be to properly defend against a structure push like what UCS has been doing for the last 10 minutes. Or two, you don't think you can win that middle fight, and the less arcs that you can allow the game to generate, the better off you're going to be. So is that what you think K374 is doing right now, or do you think that there's another reasoning behind this? Or I'm kind of all ears, because sometimes this makes a whole lot of sense, and then sometimes, like right now, where you're losing the structure game, you handily won the middle, the last fight you had with UCS. To me, those two flags signal you should cap the arc immediately and just keep doing that over and over again.
I'm kind of with you. I think the only reason you'd continue to hold the arc in the face of what's happening right now is that you have a very clear plan for how you're going to win the next arc, and it requires you to have more points than you would have had otherwise. Two things are happening right now. First of all, both teams are accumulating points, but second of all, because 374 is behind on points, they are accumulating points faster for those crucial skills. There's the cap. Arc is capped.
There we go. So what was that? About 4 minutes left until the arc was to despawn.
It was around that point. Yeah. So now 8 minutes till the arc spawns in the middle.
Yeah. So now we got if everything stays the same and people actually cap the arc as quickly as possible, this is going to be a 3 arc game. Now, if they hold it again, as you can see, it took up basically half the time of the match with 1 arc. You could theoretically just have a 2 arc game, and this could be a total structure game. And I don't know if that really plays to K374's strengths, because right now UCS is really taking and holding these buildings with impunity. That being said, this Sky Altar on the bottom lane looks precariously low. There it goes back to blue. 2 minutes to take it, though, and they've got to still hold it. UCS has a ton of marches down here at the bottom by the Sky Altar. This may go red just as quickly as it just went blue.
Yeah, well, now that I have to commend 374 for getting the game state back to where they need it to be able to make a play on the middle. And it all feels like this is according to plan for 374, right? When you're holding the arc, you're setting the pace. So they wouldn't have capped it if they didn't think they could get to this exact state right about now so that they can make their play on the middle.
And, taking back the Sky Altar and definitely holding it. You got a almost dead and an almost Trajan and an almost dead Nebu here. With a Xeno Theo, obviously that Nebu YSG is just not going to make that go red. So everything's knotted up. UCS has the points per minute advantage right now at 150 points, although in 1 minute, the Sky Altar will bring back those 150 points, and it will be knotted up at 590 apiece. And with that being said, I mean, it's a 600, 700, maybe 1,000-point game by the time that happens, maybe 800 to 1,000. So, I mean, it's basically like nothing has happened in the last 30 minutes. Everything's equal, and this next arc is going to be a big contender towards who's going to win.
Yeah, it's like starting fresh, except big advantage,
things.
in my opinion, to 374, who set the pacing, because they have more points. How will those points translate? I don't know, but I think it's about 2 points worth of advantage that they've accumulated by this moment in time, which is going to be like a mystical formation. I mean, look, that's a lot of defense for 3 minutes to 30 marches. It makes a difference.
You know, UCS doing a great job of pushing the inside lane structures here, and as is K374, although, wow, all the available commanders that we've got available for both of these teams to use, and we've got an Alex Herald sighting for a rally against the Shrine of War against UCS here. Interesting. Is that against the Shrine of War, or is that against the Outpost?
Looks like it's
against
an Outpost
the
hit.
Outpost. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, they you know why they're doing that?
Sneaky, of course.
March speed, baby. March speed.
It's very strong. Also, the
30%
skill
march speed on
damage
the
coming
Alex.
out is really strong against Alex Herald, and whatever's in here may just get taken down by the sheer amount of skill damage and march speed, like you said, getting it there pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a long distance to walk. I think the main driver for that combo is the 15% march speed on the Herald, the 30% march speed on the Alex, and you know what else? Dragothian?
Anti-swarm.
You know what I think is the second commander that joined that rally? The second player? I bet you it's a Zenobia.
It could be.
The reason you use infantry with that pair is you want to get him downfield and then
It
make
was a
your
Leo.
Zeno the captain.
It was a Leo.
It was
I just
Leo.
happened to see the second march. He just busted your theory, but it was a good theory. It was a
did bust
good
my
theory. It made a
Come
lot
on,
of sense.
It was such a cool theory.
It made a lot of
was
sense.
entering the matrix and like dodging bullets. Speaking of dodging bullets, everybody's getting to the middle here.
I will say, look at this too. This UCS player Bullets just kind of abandoned that outpost. He's like, nah, I don't need that. Has both of those marches
is
coming
their
in.
name really Bullets?
Yeah, Bullets PH.
Wow, I just like really next level called that shot.
Yeah, you did. Literally.
My pun game is strong today.
Shots fired.
Wow.
Are we going to be that punny today?
No, nope. I'll try not. I aspire not to be, as 374 has got position on the temple that they aren't taking. Why not? Oh my gosh, why not just step to the other side of the temple? They're just going to let UCS walk up.
I mean, they didn't
UCS
last time.
Is even turning around.
They didn't last time.
Oh man, all right.
Why fix it if it ain't broken, you know?
Just open the door. Come on in, UCS. And I think that's not a bad play. Look, if I'm right, and the folks in 374 have more points right now, more ability points, then this is going to be another arc in their favor. And do you know what I find so remarkable, Dragothian?
What's that?
Look how close the score is.
Yep, I was just taking a peek at that.
UCS had the most monster structure captures we've seen, and the score is still just the tiniest
Basically
amount in their
even.
favor.
Yeah,
It's almost it's irrelevant. Look at that. The score is like 100 points off, 200 points off.
Yep.
That's astonishing.
This is gonna be very big in the middle.
So this really was all in the favor of 374. We were talking about this, right? You were like, I don't know, shouldn't they just cap it and go for the next arc? No, I guess not. Look at that. Score's basically even.
I'm so aggressive with the art. Like my strategies always have a very aggressive arc capture, similar to an OV, where they'd want to capture as many arcs as humanly possible, and they want to generate as many as possible to outweigh any possible garrison deficiency or open field deficiency. They want to just capture as many arcs as possible, get to that 4,500 point arc and win it. And that's, served them pretty well, winning two seasons worth of Osiris League, although currently being eliminated in this season's Osiris League. I'm seeing K374 really put a circle around this temple with 1 minute 45 left to school. I mean, UCS is pouring in more and more, But we saw earlier K374 very able to reinforce that middle pretty easily with impunity.
I am a little worried about the numbers for
That ain't gonna do it.
374. I mean, I guess it's about even. I guess it looks about even when I zoom out and try to really.
Once everybody starts
know.
stacking, you can just never tell. You can just never tell. Uh-oh, here we go. Here it goes.
374 mystical formation.
And I think they did it at a great time, Chiskel. Right.
That's. It's like we were just talking about. Like, why wait? You know,
Yeah.
don't wait too long. There it is.
Here we
War
go.
drums.
Let's see if we see
Mystical
a to the
formations on
death.
both sides. War drums on both. There won't be not enough points. Oh, just kidding.
Tell me.
Okay.
Don't-
both
to
of them
both
to the death.
sides.
They both had 10 points.
I mean, they weren't doing anything. No hard pushes. No insatiable desire.
Jeez.
No. I mean, it's all there. You're just sitting there saving.
Well, that definitely favors 374. I think.
I think it favors
know.
whoever hits it first.
Yeah.
That's to me. That's
I
the
don't know.
thing.
This is crazy. I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I have a prediction. Can I share with you my prediction?
I mean, I'm sitting here watching blue marches go back nonstop. So
Yeah,
please tell
I
me
think-
something.
I think UCS has got a little bit more muscle than 374. That pound for
Sure.
pound, UCS hits harder. And I think that an equal set of skills, like just happened, is going to favor UCS really, really, really heavily.
I mean, you can see it from the amount of marches going back for the blue team versus red. I mean, this middle's almost red at this point already. Is a big deal. Arc of Osiris has spawned, but everything that was blue is gone. Everything that was blue is gone. It's neutral right now, but I can see a red team member picking it up very soon just because I think that's almost all that's left. There you go. Red team picking it up and moving it back towards their side, although Cyrus is going down very quickly. Not quickly enough, though. He's still marching.
Carry. That's
Yeah.
a good first carry.
Yeah, he's
That's
going
clean.
down too slow.
Yeah, nice, clean carry for
Yep.
that arc. Step by step, but it doesn't matter. The arc fight's over.
Yeah, I mean,
UCS has won that fight. And not by a little,
heavily.
but
And
by a lot.
and I think you're right, too. Kingdom 2 versus Kingdom 374. There is migration in this game, and obviously that helps get some players maybe to help out K374 from a strength standpoint or oldness of account standpoint. But at the same time, I mean, if any and all of these players, and I know a few of them for sure because I've seen them fighting for the last 3 years with me, have been playing this game for this long, not only from an experience standpoint, but from an account age standpoint, that's just tons of time to have your commanders better geared out, tons of time to have your commanders more leveled up. That being said, I mean, K374 is here in the top 8 for a reason. I don't think that's the reason they just lost. I think UCS really just had more players. They put the skills on that they needed to, and they positioned correctly.
Yeah, I think when 374 drew up that plan, I don't know if they expected it to be even. Like, I think they would have hoped. I think
So
they would have hoped
outnumbered,
that
sure.
UCS would have been firing off skills earlier in the match,
Mm-hmm.
so that they wouldn't have been able to 100% match the War Drums mystical formation to the death combo.
I mean, both teams did War Drums, Mystical Formation, and to the death. That's 10 points. That's all their points.
That's all 10. That's all 10.
That's it. That's everything. So both teams preparing for that second arc like it was theirs to take. Now, keep in mind, K374 is in the lead at this moment by about 700 points and currently has a point per minute advantage of 90 points per minute. So that will help. However, that arc is 3,500 points in the making and in UCS's pocket. Now, this is where I would expect UCS to hold on
Hold on.
to the
Jagothian,
to the
do you see where that arc is walking and all those blue marches coming?
Yeah, I mean, it's going where it shouldn't be.
So not only is that arc going on a dangerous route, but
Yeah, no.
374 is looking to intercept that carrier.
And they will at least touch it. I still don't know if that's going to be enough, but I mean, they've got people coming. They do have people coming for K374. I don't know if it's going to be quite enough to empty out this continued murder ball from UCS. They have not done a split too much. There was some split off a little bit, but only 4 or 5 marches for UCS. The rest of them did come in here. Now, the arc is down, and 374 is coming in hot. And this is dangerous for UCS because a quick run from K374 up that mountain range, and it's a whole new battle for that arc.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really precarious situation. It's in UCS's control, I think. But I would give this like a 10% to 20% chance that 374 could have came in here and flipped this thing around.
You know, something else you have to consider, and they just, K374 using Insatiable Desire, by the way, not fully really committing to grabbing this arc. Because if so, they would have saved up for a running charge, or they would have saved up for maybe a defense buff to try and take this thing and run with it. This Saladin making some heavy headway with this arc, although eventually will go down. One thing you have to consider, though, almost all these marches for UCS look to be in the yellow and red, whereas K374's marches should all be full, although now they are looking a little bit suspect as well, having been taken basically probably 3 or 4 to 1 trades against UCS here. So it looks like eventually this will be UCS's to control, but it did delay a little bit.
It does look like 374 is mimicking that play of taking the outside lane altar, which I think is a great choice.
Garrison.
Yeah, it's not going to last long. He is a Garrison captain, but
Sky Altar on the top lane.
This
Garrison.
is not the Garrison captain you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Waving your hands in front of you. Attila a little bit better, but getting swarmed down by UCS, and it looks like, ooh, good reinforcement from K374. Attila Garrison, really hard to swarm down. I mean, that's the whole point of Attila. The problem is they just don't have enough troops in there to actually hold that structure, and it does go back down in favor of UCS, dropping a few points per minute from UCS's arsenal for another 2 or 3 minutes. 180 points per minute favoring K374, but look at this arc being captured and carried by UCS, going deep. He's going back to his city. He's like, you know what? We're gonna go take this home. Got to put this thing on the mantle.
So I think that's a pretty clear signal he's going to hold that arc for a
He's
while,
going
right?
even
What do you think they're
farther.
going to do? Hold?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that. Yeah, I mean, well, that makes sense to me. You know, holding it by a city makes sense
Sure.
because you can cap it at a city. So
I mean, it's basically
that's, I
safe
think,
now.
all fine and good.
Any of these red buildings can take the arc. It's basically safe at this point. I would definitely keep it away from the obelisk, just from a possibility thing. You know, you can just drop it in a city and be perfectly fine. And really, UCS starting to already push out. I mean, look at this hard push being used by UCS right as soon as we say it. They're pushing out. They're trying to take structures away. They need to make up some points per minute. They've got, you know, the arc obviously at 3,500 points. So truly, it's a 26,000 to 24,000 match right now. But again, 374 has the points per minute advantage right now, and unless UCS takes some buildings away, that 2,000 points that they're technically winning by can start to shrink very rapidly.
So let's talk about this for a second. 16 minutes, 52 seconds left in the match. They're down. UCS is down 1,200 points. 8 minutes and 45 seconds. They can hold this arc before they have to score it. It'll reset. Theoretically, this could be a 2-arc game, right? UCS could make this a 2-arc game.
If they don't
Right.
capture it, yes.
Yeah. So if UCS holds this arc much longer, this is a 2-arc game, and everything that happens next with these structures will determine the winner, with a nudge already being in favor of UCS because they've got an arc worth of points in their pocket.
They do. Yep. I mean, it's like you said, about a 1,200 point game. It's going to come down to structure and provisioning. With little rogue Attila back here trying to kill the arc carrier here, and I don't know if that would actually benefit K374, because if this K374 player kills the arc carrier and another player for UCS picks it up, that actually resets the timer and back to 15 minutes, and they still hold it. That would definitely guarantee this to only be a 2-arc game at that point. So I'm not sure if taking the arc carrier out is advantageous to K374 anymore. And they're
Oh, it's
taking
definitely
everything.
not.
They're taking everything at this point. K374 is going all out on structures, garrisoning their own stuff, all that good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, 374 needs to open up the gap a lot. They need an arc worth of gap.
Yeah, they do. 3,500 points. That's what's going to take. They need to find 3,500 points.
Osiris Nebu. What in the world?
Continuing to be sent and being effective.
We can assume. I don't know. It's like hard to say. Like, isn't it? I mean, it looks pretty decent.
I mean,
not gonna
both
lie.
sides have taken their structures, and it's been Cyrus Nebu or Nebu Cyrus almost exclusively. I haven't seen many XY anything rallies. I haven't seen many or any Attila rallies. It's been infantry with Alex Harold, and it's been Cyrus Nebu Nebu Cyrus. That's what we've seen all day.
Yeah, it's working. It's working. They're gonna get that desert altar, man.
Where's this guy going? Huh? He's farming with full marches. Interesting. With 14 minutes left.
I mean, the game it's a 2-arc game. I'm just gonna call
Full
that
battle
shot right
marches.
now.
Yeah,
This is a 2-arc game, and so
it wouldn't be smart
people are trying to
otherwise.
get edged by provisioning.
Yeah, it wouldn't be smart otherwise. By the way, UCS taking the Desert Altar away from K374 on the top lane, that's huge. That's huge. That is huge. I mean, we got UCS with reinforcements. We've got UCS with a Xeno on the forward line against K374 and their own Desert Altar. We've got the Shrine of Life at the very top as well, under heavy assault from Ende and crew. And K374 is busy trying to take outposts.
I don't know, man. This is going to come down to the wire. It really is. The provisions could flip the score. It's going to be so close. The only way that this becomes one-sided is if UCS totally dominates the structure game starting now.
Man, I mean, UCS is starting to do that. I mean, UCS has got the Desert Altar. They've got Xeno there. They've got open
Shrine
field.
of Life, too.
Yeah, Shrine of Life getting taken by Ende and crew. I mean, this is exactly what UCS wanted to do. They wanted to even up the points per minute. They wanted to even up the score and have that arc in their back pocket to capture at the last second so that no other arc can be captured going forward. And it's all about the structures and it's all about the provisions. I think UCS doing a great job executing that strategy. They got exactly what they want. Losing the Desert Altar, but again, disrupting the points for K374, that's just as good. And we're looking at a 1,000-point game right now in favor of K374, but UCS has a 270-point advantage per minute. That's going to stack up.
Yeah, with 12 minutes left, that's too steep of an advantage to let sit, for sure. 374 has got to be really concerned right now about what they're going to do. I mean, you really can kind of tell that they wanted it to be a 2-arc game.
Well, I mean, I think that's exactly. I think you nailed it. K374 starting to clean the open field up here on the top lane, but still losing and not having ticking for them their Shrine of Life at the very top. And I mean, everything on the blue side is blinking. In fact, the Sky Altar looking dangerously low, although getting a very nice clutch reinforcement from somebody coming in from the obelisk area. That was very clutch. That was looking like a very precarious situation for K374. UCS continuing to pour in more and more reinforcements to try and swarm this thing down, and they may still very well take it, although another reinforcement coming in from K374. Very strong.
Very tactically for a moment.
Yeah.
The question becomes just like, when would you capture this arc? And I think the answer is with the minute to minute and a half remaining on the arc duration.
I would go
You
the
don't
other
wanna wait
30-second direction, 30 seconds to a minute.
30, you do 30 seconds a minute? So the reason I say that is that it takes like a minute, 30 seconds to run the arc with a really fast march if you're uncontested at the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as there's, like 8 on the clock, less than, the time for the arc to spawn plus that minute 30, then you're good to go.
I agree. I think, I think when we're looking at this map, it's still predominantly red. The big, UCS has a bigger structure on the top lane, still on red and ticking points, by the way. It's not just not ticking points for K374, but it's ticking points for UCS. So 610 points per minute versus 540, although, again, it's only a shrine, so it's not the big boy with the altar, but it's still any points. The closer UCS can get this points per minute and really ultimately the end game points, the more this arc starts to lean heavily towards giving UCS the win. Now, clearly, This is only the second arc, like we talked about. So what this means is that this next arc, also the provisioning totals coming in, is going to really dictate who is going to win this matchup. Is there going to be enough provisions on both sides? Let's take a quick peek across the map on the provisionings, the caravans area for both sides to see if I see any provisions. Now, on UCS's side, on the bottom or the top lane here, I don't really see any provisions on the caravans inside of this area. Let's go to the other side really quick. There's one. This is one player, by the way, and these are not farming marches. These are battle marches. We just saw the player who is currently holding the arc, who just captured it, by the way. 8 minutes, 12 seconds until it respawns. 9 minutes on the game. That's not enough time for an arc to be captured and, taken and captured into a structure. So UCS has made this officially a 2 arc game, and I think that's to their benefit. They've went ahead and they've done what they needed to do. They've gone and taken the structures that they needed to. They took the arc and kept it. They've won one of the arcs, each team splitting an arc, but look at the total here. Almost 32,000 points versus 29,000 points. It's just under 3,000 point differential here. Insatiable Desire being used for K374. They know that provisions is going to be everything going forward here. 8 minutes, 20 seconds, provisions and structures. Structures are still a big deal, guys. I cannot state that enough, but look at this. Ria Arisu trying to go ahead and get some more provisioning done. All of these caravans looking like they've got some folks hopping in and out. I think maybe, just based off of what I've seen so far, guys, I think maybe K374 is doing a better job of provisioning than UCS is, at least for right now. Maybe that will change in the next couple minutes. Now UCS knowing that they need to have provisioning as a total to come in, that might be a thing. I think that that's certainly something to think about. But structures are still going to play a key part. Let's go take a look at this Shrine of War here. Ooh, UCS putting some heavy pressure on this Shrine of War. Although K374 doing a decent job at garrisoning, but what else is coming in support? We've got this Ramses, we've got a Guan, we've got the Saladin. If K374 can hold this, which it looks like they're doing a pretty good job, enough to do so, that will be helpful for them. UCS hard push again. There's less than 10 minutes left, so that will give UCS the ability to capture structures for the rest of the game in 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes. Rally going again to the outpost for K374. Sending this Alex and Harold rally. Let me make sure that's a Harold. Yep, Alex Harold rally. I thought I saw a Barker there for a second. Alex Harold rally to these outposts to try and harass and take these buildings away from UCS. And speaking of taking buildings away, this 374 Desert Altar is looking extremely vulnerable. This UCS swarm is causing some serious damage. It may go down. UCS almost ready to take it, and K374 reinforcing at the last second. My goodness. It's a 3,000 point game almost on the dot. 2,800 points in favor of UCS. Points per minute favoring no team. 590 points per minute for each team. Structures are even, and just as I say that, UCS takes the Sky Altar on the bottom side. How devastating is that, Chiskel?
This is pretty rough. This is pretty rough for 374. I mean, if 374 had 2 provisioners and UCS has 1, then maybe they can make up the points of provisions. Maybe, right?
Yeah. We did go take a peek at the provisioners a minute ago, and I think that the blue team in K374 does have more provisioners than UCS does. I just don't know if it's going to be enough for 2,600 points worth of provisions. If nothing has come back for the blue team, this may be won at the very last second by provisioning. If not, then it's definitely UCS's game to lose, I think.
Yeah, I mean, teams have been pulling down in upwards of 7,000 points from provisions, so it is conceivable, although I do see folks in red doing some serious provisioning, even, sending non-gathering marches out there just to get the job done. If you're near a node, hop in, right? Yeah, get some points.
Outside lane again being taken by UCS. 24 seconds until it starts ticking in favor of UCS as well. I see I mean, well, is this real or is this a glitch on the game? I see a march with full siege here from A Pink just sitting in the open field here. There's definitely caravans that it could be going into. 4 minutes, 30 seconds left. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't see really anything actually that it could go into. Everything is empty on the blue side unless you start going towards the very back, which even then, K374 has got more marches in the back trying to gather as much as possible. I think we're going to have to stare at this point total, Chisco.
Yeah, this, well, 500 points per minute. Is it what? Maybe not quite 500, but
close enough.
Nearly 500 points per minute. Yeah, for UCS, I mean, that's very, very devastating.
For 4 minutes,
that is going to flip this board fast. All it's going to take is a couple minutes of that to open this gap beyond perhaps what could be done with provisions.
All right, there goes the Sky Altar back on the bottom side to K374. At least for a moment, I mean, there's plenty of UCS marches here to just basically reswarm that thing down. And Alex Primary on the Garrison not going to cut it against this heavy swarm from UCS, although it's holding for now. They need to swap that thing quick. They need to swap it very quick. Shrine of Life on the top is ticking for UCS right now, getting heavy swarm down by K374 with a rally coming in as well. It's basically a 3,200 point game and some change for UCS right now. But again, I just think the provisioning on K374's side has been kind of stellar. I'm really looking 3 minutes left. I mean, in 2 minutes, this point total could be completely different.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Although I will say that the fact that UCS is opening up that gap makes it less and less likely to have that sort of a comeback.
Yeah. I mean, provisions aren't what they used to be. So there were changes made to the provisioning capabilities inside of the Ark of Osiris system where provisions just don't provide the point totals that they once did in the past. I think it was something like a 33% decrease in points from caravans in the provisions that they provide. So less and less teams have been committing so many troops and so many marches to provisioning and instead favoring to try and go heavy structure game or heavy going into the middle and trying to capture multiple Ark of Osirises. And this team, UCS, has really pushed forward on the structure game. I think they've taken a lot of marches away from provisioning and gone heavy into structures, and you can see it right here on the map. You've got the rally, you've got 10 plus marches supporting that rally, although I will say K374 has got quite a few open field marches to meet this thing in the middle and might not be as devastating as what it would have been had they sat towards the back like most teams tend to do.
You know, if 374 ends up winning this on provisions, UCS is really going to be kicking themselves for holding that arc, aren't they?
I don't know if that would have been enough. I mean, technically, yes, I guess it would have, but they wouldn't have been able to do the things that they're doing now. They wouldn't have been able to focus so heavily on the structure to make it to the point total it is now. I think they're going to be kicking themselves on not providing more provisioning. I think that would be more so than anything else. Because not only getting the arc and capturing it at a structure of yours, but just winning it can take anywhere, like you saw in this match alone, from 2 minutes to 10 minutes. I mean, it just depends.
Yeah, UCS has done an amazing job in these last 12 minutes, just widening that
coming in
gap
for UCS, by the way.
Yeah.
40,000 points.
1 minute left. This is
41.
where those provisions have got to come back.
Yep.
Anything in this time frame is when they should return home. 5,000 point game,
there.
4,500 point game.
I'm starting to see all these big siege armies come back for the blue team on the top side. Here's two big ones coming in right now.
4,000 point game.
UCS still capturing.
Seconds.
Yeah, UCS still capturing quite a few provisions. I think it's going to be enough for UCS to pull this out, unless these two big siege armies that wasn't enough. That was only like 400 or 500 points. I mean, it's closer. It's 38-3 to 41-6, but that's still 3,300 point game. 15 seconds left. Heavy siege coming in for K374, but I just don't think it's enough. There's another big one coming in, 38-7 versus 41-5. It's basically a 3,000 point game on the dot, 0 seconds left. UCS,
Wow.
I
Close
believe,
one.
victorious. Chisco, very strong match. UCS TC, most valuable player, 183,000 points for their individual score. Looking at the battle summary, UCS coming out on top, Chisco, with a 2-arc game. Occupation score looking very strong for UCS. Provision score being won
Wow.
by K374. Chisco, what do you think
Yeah.
of these numbers?
That's got to be the highest provision score we've cast, isn't it? 8,241.
Yeah, I think by a little bit. Yeah, 7,000, 7,500 has been kind of the high end of where we've seen some of these teams be.
I mean, if UCS had only one provisioner, they would have lost. They would have lost on provisions. But they didn't.
Yeah.
And they killed it on the battlefield.
Big time.
I mean, they crushed it on the battlefield hugely. Look at that total kill differential between kills and sevs. Wow.
That's a big deal. And, the units healed not as high as I thought K374 would be. Being a 3.9 billion team, obviously, you've got a lot of troops inside of that kind of a size of alliance, but still with 73.5 million troops getting severely wounded for K374, I would have expected that unit's healed to be a bit higher personally.
Yeah, that is wild. I mean, they just really crushed it on the battlefield, which we saw. Like, they could take and hold structures in a way that was definitely disproportionate. We saw that unfold.
A 4,200 point delta for UCS on the occupation score. That's some really good insight, Chisco. Let's go ahead and hop back to the studio. I'll ask for your final thoughts, and we'll go ahead and wrap this, what seems to be a really good day of Osiris League playoff action. Let's go ahead and jump over to the studio real quick. All right, we are back, and as we can see here, UCS winning in dominating fashion against K374. And when I say dominating, only due to occupation score and 500 points of Ark of Osiris did UCS win. I think this is probably, Chisco, the most tested UCS has been this entire playoffs. Would you agree?
No question. I mean, I sort of commented on that at the start, that they had these really big victories pretty much every step of the way. And so the question was, have they met their match yet? And now that we're down to, it was the quarterfinals. I mean, all these teams are really, really top tier.
So good.
Yeah, I mean,
envious.
UCS delivers on that punch. It's not a coincidence that they were winning by that much.
What separates these teams, Chisco, I think more than anything else is, the stuff that we talk about throughout the matchup. We're talking about kind of reactively on what we're seeing. But these teams know when and how to perform those actions before they're supposed to be done, if that makes sense. So, when it's time to go focus on the structure game, well, they've already been doing that for 2 minutes because they need to position their troops to do that at a certain time. So to get to the other side of the field, they need to have started moving to that side of the field 2 minutes ago to actually get there at the right time with the right amount of troops. That's the difference in the separator. These two teams here specifically have done a great job of timing things perfectly, getting people where they need to be, when they need to be there, how they need to be there, with the right troop counts, with the right troop commanders, just getting everything done. Seeing this match, Chisco, what are your final thoughts on this? And I'll go ahead and wrap us up. And again, just having a great time casting with you, and certainly casting these two amazing teams. There's some GGs in the chat while we hear Chisco's final thoughts.
Yeah, these were some incredible matchups that we watched today. The caliber of teams, every season of Osiris League only gets better and better and better. So I'm really looking forward to the semifinals. UCS versus 1V at 15 UTC, and Song versus JST at 13 UTC, which presumably, Dragothian, you and I will be casting both of those matches here next week.
Oh, I can't wait. I was so happy to see that this was a 15 UTC match and not a 13 UTC match. I was about to ask the developer gods if they could maybe move it to separate times, because good Lord, could you imagine if we had to pick between those two matchups, 1V versus UCS and Song versus JST?
Yeah, I don't know how you'd pick between them.
I mean,
we got to see them both, right?
Yeah, split screen this thing. Let's do it. So Final Four for Horus being established. UCS 1v Song and JST going in for Realm of Horus. I did want to also showcase the Final Four, and I'll go ahead and drop my video camera so you can better see these all. And again, thank you, Chiskel, by the way, for joining me today, as it has been all season. I've enjoyed casting with you, and just so we can kind of get this out of the way, down below in the description is the channel links for both my and Chiskel's YouTube channels. We are sponsored content creators for Rise of Kingdoms. If you have not done so, get your butts over there, get some guides, get some tips, get some tricks. We do this for a living, folks. This is what we do. We analyze matches like this. We give you the insight needed to go ahead and be victorious on the battlefield. Also, the channel you're watching is the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the sub button, and hit that bell notification so you too can get this action in your mobile device or computer of choice. Go ahead and drop my camera here. Realm of Anubis. And again, thank you, Chisco. I appreciate you joining me.
Hey, pleasure to be here. What a great cast. This was a lot of fun.
Love it. Love it. So Final Four for the Realm of Anubis, for those of you who are still interested. V636 versus 463F, and PX34 winning, as did 6P exclamation point. Some big coins were won, people. Realm of Bastet, we have our Final Four as well. Let's go take a peek. BIA versus WIB. That's 846's alliances against each other. And Rays against 60 GT. That should also be a very solid matchup. This is going to be a very, very contested Realm of Bastet as well. Oh my. Let's take a look at the Realm of Sobek really quickly as well. Last four, Final Four. If it decides to load, it might. It might not. It might just be looking, you know, for different things. It might not. How about that? So before we hop back in, hopefully the Realm of Sobek loads up this next time as we load up the game here. For those of you that have done some betting, by the way, in the LiiG betting system for Osiris League, you want to find your favorite content creator and go check out their betting videos, because I think for the most part, the content creator's done a great job showing who to bet on to get you your coins to clean that shop out. Let me go ahead and take a look at the schedule really quick and try and give Realm of Sobek their due and see who the Final Four are. Here we go. 01HK versus CD70 and 94VN versus MR. That is the Final Four for Realm of Sobek. So congratulations to all the teams that have made it to the Final Four. Congratulations to all the teams that have played in the Osiris League system. You are all winners, but some are more than others. And I just listed them all out. So hopefully you have enjoyed this stream. I certainly have enjoyed casting it for you all alongside of Chisco. I am sure he mirrors the same sentiment. Enjoy the rest of your weekends. It is Sunday, people. We have big things coming your way this week, of course. Make sure that you, again, just have yourself a good day. Take care. Have a good one. And we'll see you next week here casting the Final Four to see who goes into the finals and wins that ARC trophy. See you guys later. Have a good one.